My name's Tom Hargrove, 39 years old, just a regular guy from a small town outside Boise, Idaho. I work as a logistics supervisor at a warehouse, nothing glamorous, but it pays the bills. 3.5 years ago, I met Carla at a buddy's barbecue. She was 37, fresh off a rough divorce, with a 12-year-old daughter, Sophie. Carla had this quiet charm, like she'd been through hell but still had a spark. Sophie was shy, always glued to her sketchbook, but she'd smile if you caught her off guard. I fell for them both, hard and fast, like a truck hitting a brick wall. My friend Nate warned me I was diving in too quick. "Tom, you barely know her," he said, flipping burgers at that barbecue. "But when you feel something real, you don't wait around, right?" Carla and I dated for 9 months, and it was good: movie nights, pizza runs, teaching Sophie how to ride my old bike. I proposed over milkshakes at the diner, and she said yes with tears in her eyes. We got married in a little courthouse ceremony, and I moved into their rented duplex. It felt like the start of something solid. At first, everything clicked. I'd cook breakfast, Carla would hum along to the radio, and Sophie started opening up, showing me her drawings. I wanted to be the guy they could count on. Sophie's dad wasn't in the picture, so I stepped up, driving her to art classes, helping with math homework, even starting a savings account for her future. It was $200 a month, a stretch for me, but I figured it was an investment in her dreams. Carla worked part-time at a boutique, which barely covered her phone bill, but I didn't mind. I was all in. About a year in, though, things started shifting. Slow enough, I didn't catch it at first. Carla would forget to chip in for groceries, even though I was covering rent and utilities. Sophie started asking me for cash for school stuff, field trips, art supplies, always last minute, always urgent. Carla would just nod and say, "Tom's got it. Don't worry." I'd smile, pull out my wallet, and keep moving. They'd been on their own before me. Maybe they just needed time to adjust to a team setup. But the little stuff piled up. I'd come home dog-tired to find they'd grabbed takeout, pizza, Chinese, whatever, without saving me a bite, even though my paycheck funded it. Carla's boutique job never turned into anything steady, but she always had cash for new earrings or a spa day. Sophie's art classes got pricier, and I started picking up overtime to keep up. I wasn't mad, not yet, just figured I needed to work harder to make this family thing stick. Looking back, I was blind as a bat, but love will do that to you sometimes. Life in that duplex with Carla and Sophie started feeling like a treadmill cranked up too high. I was running full speed, but getting nowhere. By year 2 of our marriage, I was pulling 60-hour weeks at the warehouse, plus side gigs driving for a delivery app on weekends. My back ached, my eyes burned, but I kept at it. Sophie needed new art supplies, Carla's car needed brakes, and the rent wasn't going to pay itself. I didn't mind providing, at least, not at first. I wanted to be the rock for them, you know? But the more I gave, the less they seemed to notice. Carla would leave dishes piled in the sink, knowing I'd wash them after my shift because I couldn't stand the mess. She'd promised to pick up extra hours at the boutique, but somehow, she never did. Instead, she'd come home with new boots or a fancy coffee maker we didn't need. It was on sale, she'd say, like that made it free. Meanwhile, my savings were bleeding dry, and that college fund for Sophie was the only thing I refused to touch. Sophie wasn't much better. She'd turned 13 by then, all attitude and eye rolls. I'd drive her to art classes, wait in the parking lot for hours, and she'd barely mutter a thanks. If I asked about her day, she'd snap. "Why do you care?" I chalked it up to teenage hormones, but it stung. I was pouring everything into this kid: time, money, energy, and she acted like I was just the hired help. Then came the dental bill. 6 months ago, Sophie's dentist said she needed Invisalign. $3,000 up front, plus $200 a month for 18 months. Insurance laughed in our faces. Carla just looked at me, eyebrows raised, like it was my job to figure it out. What was I supposed to do? Let Sophie's teeth stay crooked? So I took a second job, overnight stocking at a grocery chain. 40 hours at the warehouse, 25 more pushing pallets in the dark. I'd get home at 4 in the morning, sleep 3 hours, and start over. My body was screaming, but I told myself it was for family. The worst part? Nobody cared. I'd stumble in, bleary-eyed, and Carla wouldn't even look up from her phone. Sophie would complain I missed her art show because I was passed out on the couch, too exhausted to move. I tried talking to Carla about it once, said I was drowning. She just shrugged. "We all have to make sacrifices, Tom." Sacrifices? She hadn't paid a bill in years. I started noticing other things, whispered phone calls she'd end when I walked in, or how she'd slip out for errands that took hours. I didn't want to believe she was hiding something, but doubt was creeping in like damp rot. My buddy Nate noticed I was fading. We grabbed beers one night, and he didn't hold back. "Man, you look like death. When's the last time you did something for you?" I couldn't answer. Everything I earned, every minute I had, went to Carla and Sophie. Nate shook his head. "You're not their dad, Tom. You're their bank." His words stuck with me, but I wasn't ready to face them yet. I still thought I could fix it, that if I worked harder, loved deeper, they'd see me as more than a paycheck. Boy, was I wrong. By last month, I was a ghost in my own life. Between the warehouse and the grocery store, I was clocking 80 hours a week, coming home to a duplex that felt more like a hotel I was paying for. Carla was glued to her phone. Sophie was locked in her room. and I was just the guy who kept the lights on. I hadn't had a full night's sleep in weeks, and my hands shook from too much coffee and not enough food. But the real kick in the teeth came on a Tuesday morning I'll never forget. I just paid Sophie's Invisalign bill, $200 I barely scraped together after covering rent and Carla's car insurance. I was driving Sophie to school, running on fumes, trying to make small talk. "You got that art project due soon, right?" I asked, hoping for a real answer. She just sighed, earbuds in, like I was a mosquito buzzing around her head. We pulled up to the school, and she flung the car door open so hard it rattled the frame. I leaned out to say something, maybe about respecting my stuff, but she spun around, eyes blazing. "You're not my dad, Tom," she spat. "You're just some loser mom picked up. Stop acting like you matter." My jaw dropped. Before I could respond, I saw Carla standing there, near the drop-off line. She'd ridden with her friend Jenna to bring Sophie's forgotten sketchbook. I waited for her to correct Sophie, to say something, anything. Instead, she folded her arms, gave me this cold little smile, and said, "She's not wrong, you know. You're trying way too hard." It was like the ground fell out from under me. Parents were staring, kids were snickering, and I just sat there, gripping the steering wheel, trying to process it. I drove to work in a daze, replaying Sophie's words, Carla smirk, over and over. My phone buzzed. Nate, checking in. I called him from the warehouse parking lot, voice cracking. "Man, what the hell just happened?" He didn't sugarcoat it. "Tom, they're walking all over you. You gotta wake up." I hung up, feeling like I'd been punched. That night, I got home from the grocery store job at 3 in the morning. Carla was awake, scrolling on her phone, not even glancing at me. Sophie was upstairs, probably blasting music on the headphones I bought her. I tried talking to Carla about the school thing. "What Sophie said today that hurt, Carla. And you backing her up? That's not okay." She rolled her eyes. "She's a kid, Tom. Don't make it a big deal." When I pushed, she got sharp. "You're too needy. Maybe if you weren't so clingy, we'd respect you more." I couldn't take it. I grabbed a blanket and crashed on the couch, too wired to sleep. Upstairs, I heard them giggling, Carla and Sophie, laughing like I was some private joke. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, adding up every dollar I'd spent on them. Rent, groceries, Sophie's art classes, Carla's endless emergencies had to be 40 grand. Easy, over 3 years. For what? To be their punching bag? Something snapped, not loud, but deep. By dawn, I had a plan. Not a blow-up, not yet, but a way to take back my life. They thought I was a pushover. They were about to learn different. After that Tuesday morning when Sophie tore into me and Carla twisted the knife, I wasn't the same guy anymore. I didn't yell or storm out, too tired for that. Instead, I got smart. Lying on that lumpy couch, listening to their laughter upstairs, I realized I'd been a doormat for 3 years. No more. I started making moves, quiet ones, to take back what was mine, my money, my time, my self-respect. First thing, I opened a new bank account at a credit union across town, one Carla didn't know about. I switched my warehouse paycheck to direct deposit there. Took me a week to set it up, but by the next Friday, my money was safe. I didn't tell Carla or Sophie I'd quit the grocery store job either. Just told my boss I was burned out, and he nodded, no questions asked. That first night sleeping 8 hours felt like a miracle. My body didn't know what to do with the rest. I'd leave the house like I was still working nights, but really, I'd park at Nate's place or sip coffee at a 24-hour diner, catching up on podcasts I'd forgotten I liked. Carla didn't notice a thing for 2 weeks. That's how little she paid attention to me, until the money stopped flowing. I'd always handle the bills, because Carla wasn't good with numbers. Translation, she couldn't be bothered. So when the power bill, internet, and Sophie's art class fees came due, I let them sit. I'd been tracking every cent I spent on them. $38,000 over 3 years, not counting the $2 grand I dropped on Carla's car last winter. I started a notebook, logging every payment, every sacrifice. It was my proof, my anchor. The blow-up came when the internet cut off. Carla texted me mid-shift at the warehouse. "Did you pay the Wi-Fi? Sophie can't do her homework." I waited hours to reply, playing it cool. "Sorry, been slammed with work. I'll check tomorrow." Tomorrow came, and I didn't pay it. By day 3, she was calling nonstop, leaving voicemails about the power company threatening to shut us off. I let them pile up. When I got home, Carla was fuming, pacing the kitchen. "What's going on, Tom? The bills are piling up, and my card got declined at the gas station." I shrugged, calm as could be. "I'm stretched thin, Carla. 2 jobs, you know? Maybe you could cover something this month." Her face went blank, like I'd asked her to climb a mountain. Then she pulled out her phone, showed me her bank balance, $80. 80. This woman who always had cash for lattes and nail appointments was broke, and I'd been footing everything. I didn't say it out loud, but I was thinking, where's your money going if I'm paying for it all? Sophie's Invisalign appointment was the next test. I usually drove her, paid the $200, no questions. This time, I said I had a work meeting. Carla's eyes narrowed. "Fine, I'll take her. But you need to give me the money." I played dumb. "Things are tight with the bills piling up. Can you cover it just this once?" She went off, yelling about how I was letting Sophie down, how I didn't care about her health. I stayed stone-faced, said I'd try to scrape something together. The day of the appointment, I handed Sophie $100, half the payment, and told her to ask her mom for the rest. Then I left, supposedly for work, but really to check out a one-bedroom apartment I'd found online. That night, I came home to chaos. The dentist wouldn't adjust Sophie's Invisalign without full payment. Carla had to borrow the other 100 from Jenna, and Sophie was mortified, sulking in her room. Carla lit into me, calling me irresponsible. I just nodded. Money's tight, Carla. I'm doing my best. Inside, I was done playing their game. Carla's meltdown over the Invisalign payment was the moment I knew I couldn't stay much longer. I wasn't just tired, I was done. Done being the guy who paid for everything while they treated me like a nobody. But I didn't want to just walk out and let them spin me as the bad guy. No, I was going to leave on my terms, with everything lined up so they'd feel the weight of what they'd lost. I kept my head down and my mouth shut, but every move I made was calculated. I started moving my stuff out, bit by bit. Clothes, my old fishing gear, the toolbox my dad gave me before he passed, things they never noticed anyway. I'd tell Carla I was heading to work, then swing by a storage unit I'd rented 10 miles out of town. My coworker, Lisa, helped me haul boxes during lunch breaks. She'd been through a messy breakup herself and got it without me having to explain much. "You're doing the right thing, Tom," she'd say, tossing my jackets into a crate. "Don't look back." Carla still thought I was sulking, too spineless to push back. Sophie barely looked up from her phone long enough to notice me at all. That made it easier. I'd stopped paying anything extra, no more covering Carla's gas, no more bailing out her overdrawn debit card. The notebook I'd started was my lifeline. Every page a reminder of the $38,000 I'd sunk into their lives. Rent, utilities, Sophie's art classes, Carla's car repairs, it was all there, proof I hadn't been crazy to think I was carrying them alone. The real test came when Carla's sister, Jenna, showed up one evening. I was grilling burgers in the backyard. A rare night, I wasn't pretending to work late. Jenna cornered me by the patio, hands on her hips. "You're screwing everything up, Tom. Carla's a wreck, Sophie's stressed, and you're just sitting here like nothing's wrong." I let her rant, flipping a burger, then looked her dead in the eye. "Jenna, when's the last time Carla paid for anything around here? Groceries? Rent? Sophie's dentist?" She blinked, caught off guard, and mumbled something about assuming Carla was pitching in. I pulled out my notebook, showed her the numbers. Her jaw tightened as she flipped through it, and when she left, she didn't say another word. That weekend, I signed a lease on that one-bedroom apartment I'd scoped out. $600 a month, nothing fancy, but it had a view of the Boise River and a couch that didn't smell like regret. I moved more stuff out while Carla and Sophie were at some craft fair, oblivious as ever. They didn't notice my half of the closet was empty or that I'd taken the coffee pot my mom sent last Christmas. It was almost funny how invisible I'd become to them. I talked to a lawyer buddy of Nate's who laid out my options. Since my name was on the lease, I'd keep paying my share of the rent to avoid legal hassle, but that was it. No more extras, no more saving Carla from her own bad choices. My mom called, worried I was acting too fast. "Have you tried talking it out, Tommy?" she asked. I thought about Sophie's words at the school drop-off, Carla's smug agreement, and shook my head. "Some things you can't fix, Mom." She sighed but didn't push. By the end of the month, I was ready. I'd packed my last bag, left my key on the counter, and wrote a letter, 3 pages, no sugarcoating. It explained why I was leaving, what I'd keep paying, and what I wouldn't. I wasn't angry, just clear. I locked the storage unit, muted Carla's number, and drove to my new place. The sun was setting over the river, and for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. The first week in my new apartment was strange, like waking up on a different planet. For 100 square feet, a creaky bed, and a microwave that hummed louder than a truck, that was my kingdom now. No Carla nagging, no Sophie slamming doors, just me and the sound of the Boise River outside my window. I kept waiting to feel sad or guilty, but mostly I felt light, like I dropped a 100-pound backpack I'd been carrying too long. Carla didn't notice I was gone for 3 days. 3 whole days. No texts, no calls, nothing. I'd check my phone, half expecting an apology, but it stayed silent. Then, on day 4, the messages started. Carla first. "Tom, where are you? The rent's due, and Sophie's art class got canceled, no payment." Then another. "Power's about to get cut off." What's going on? All business, no heart. I didn't answer. Let her sweat it out. Sophie texted a day later, short and sharp, "Internet's down. I can't do my project. Mom's freaking out. Can you fix it?" That one stung a little. She was just a kid, 13, caught in her mom's mess. But I remembered her standing there at school, calling me a loser, and Carla's cold smile. I wasn't their ATM anymore. By week 2, Carla's texts got desperate. "Tom, we're falling apart. Sophie's grades are slipping, and I can't pay the bills. Please, just talk to me." Voicemails piled up, her voice cracking, saying she missed me, that the duplex felt empty. I listened to one, then deleted the rest. It was too late for tears. My bank account showed I'd paid my half of the rent and my own bills, nothing extra. They were feeling the pinch now, and I wasn't sorry. Nate dropped by with pizza and a 6-pack, checking on me. "You good, man?" he asked, cracking a beer. I nodded, realizing I was. My blood pressure was down, I was hitting the gym, even started hiking along the river trail. I'd forgotten what it felt like to have time, to not be bone-tired every second. Nate grinned. You look like Tom again, not some zombie. My mom called with gossip from her book club, where Carla's cousin runs her mouth. Turns out, Carla had to borrow cash from her parents to cover rent. They weren't happy, gave her a lecture about losing a decent guy. Sophie quit her art classes, too expensive, and was stuck using her phone's data for schoolwork. Carla's boutique hours got cut, and her credit cards were maxed. I won't lie, part of me felt a grim kind of justice. They'd taken me for granted, and now they were learning what life was like without my wallet. Week 3, Sophie sent a longer message. She said she was sorry for what she said at school, that she was just mad because Carla always complained about me when I wasn't around. She said you were holding us back, Sophie wrote. I know that's not true now. That hit hard. Carla had been poisoning her own kid against me, and I'd been too blind to see it. Any doubts I had about leaving vanished right there. I started reconnecting with old friends, guys I hadn't seen in years because I was always working or broke. We'd grab wings, watch football, laugh like we were 20 again. I even signed up for a woodworking class at the community center, something I'd always wanted to try. My boss at the warehouse noticed I wasn't dragging anymore, gave me a small raise. It wasn't much, but it felt good to be seen. 2 months after I left, Carla and Sophie wanted to meet. I picked a diner downtown, neutral ground, with greasy fries and coffee that didn't quit. When they walked in, I barely recognized them. Carla's hair was flat, no makeup, wearing a faded jacket. Sophie looked tired, smaller, clutching her sketchbook like a shield. They sat across from me, both talking at once. Sorry, we messed up. We need you. I sipped my coffee, let them run out of steam. I brought my notebook, laid it on the table. Page after page of what I'd paid, $38,000, 3 years of rent, groceries, Sophie's dentist, Carla's car. Next to it, Carla's contribution, almost nothing. Then I slid over bank records Lisa helped me dig up. Carla had been funneling $700 a month to some guy named Derek, her old high school boyfriend. Payments for his truck, his bar tabs, even a weekend in Vegas, all while I was killing myself to keep us afloat. Carla's face went white. She stammered, said it was a loan, that Derek needed help. Lies. The records showed texts, late-night meetups. She'd played me from the start. I leaned back, calm. I'm not coming back, I said. I'm filing for divorce next week. I'll be fair, Carla, but don't expect a lifeline. To Sophie, I softened. I'll help you with school stuff, art supplies, dentist, if you keep your grades up and show some respect. But it's my choice, not my job. Sophie nodded, eyes wet. Carla just stared at the table. They left quiet, like they'd been hit by a train. Sophie texted later, saying she'd take my deal, that she was sorry for following her mom's lead. Carla went silent. Jenna called a week later, said Carla was couch surfing at her place, scrambling for work. Sophie was with her grandparents, doing okay. I felt a twinge for the kid, but not enough to go back. 6 months later, I'm still in my apartment, carving cedar boxes in my woodworking class, hiking every weekend. My buddies throw darts at the bar, call me the comeback king. The divorce is final, clean, no drama. I send Sophie cash for school when she needs it, and she sends me drawings sometimes. They're good, real good. Carla's working retail full-time now, no more Derek, from what I hear. I'm not mad anymore, just clear. Walking away showed me what I'm worth, what I can build when I'm not carrying deadweight. Last week, I saw a sunset over the river, all gold and pink, and didn't feel alone. I felt free.